And
Oh my goodness. This
since,
divine connection.
yeah, I know that Monday is her day to, to go in. But I was like, let me, cause this book. So I'm always talking about pivotal books, and so Anatomy of the Spirit was, on the journey. I was already on the journey because um, A Return to Love set me on the journey. When I found Anatomy of no, because I read Why People Don't Heal and How They Can before I read Anatomy of the Spirit, and it was just like, oh. So I'm excited about sharing this teaching with people. However that looks, however it comes out. So I'm excited. I'm
I am
excited.
too. I am too.
But
Just
but
so affirming for me.
right, but it's also so heavy. It's a heavy, dense teaching. And I just hope that people are able to embrace the fullness of what we share.
Yeah,
That's my prayer. That's my
my
prayer.
prayer too. And my belief is that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Uh-huh.
And so, because this is on Facebook or whatever platform it is, be it now or a generation from now or a century from now,
Yes, yes,
it
yes.
will be, it will resonate as what we call in um, theology, rhema. It will resonate with someone so profoundly when it's supposed to.
Mm,
Um, I think the responsibility, in my humble opinion, is to show up and do the work.
mm. Yeah, but so anyway, and don't be attached. Don't be attached. Don't be attached to whether or not people receive it or not.
Yes, yes.
Um,
Just have
here,
to continue to remind ourselves of that.
all right. So, good morning, good morning, good morning.
Morning. Yay.
Everybody, welcome to this conversation. We are continuing on with, because the Lent experience was such a
It
wonderful
was
blessing
so
for us.
good. Yes.
Yes. So we are going to continue on with our morning sessions. We are in the midst of just kind of massaging this out and seeing what it is that we will incorporate and how we may do this different. But our hope is that this is a blessing to you just like it is to us. Yay.
Yes. And
So
speaking of which, the first portion of this book says that this is the perfect will of God right now.
yes, 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 yes. And we're always, and sometimes what I don't think we get is that we're always in our divine right place.
Yeah.
Right? Wherever you think you are, if you think you're looking for a job, or if you think you're looking for a mate, or if you think that your life is perfect as it is, we're always in our divine right space
Mm,
when we make these encounters.
mm.
I often say that it's almost as if before all of this, right? Even before the foundation of the earth, it's almost as if the spirit of Sandra made an agreement and a pact with the
Yes.
spirit of Stephanie. We're gonna meet
Yes.
in the year of 2017.
Yes. 20
Yes,
2019.
2019.
Yes, 2019.
She gonna pull up in a car with blackened windows, thumping some gospel music. I'm looking like, who is this? Come on in. And to just come to this space now. And so our meeting with you is no accident either.
No. Mm-mm.
So we are so
No.
so excited.
Oh no, talk about a soul contract. And that's one of the things in this book that we're laboring through and going through. It talks about um of course it talks about medical intuitive stuff, and we'll talk about that. But one of the things that jumped out for me is the fact that if I'm not aware of my consciousness or the spiritual part of me, I miss out on so many opportunities if I think that my spirit is sitting here waiting for me to transition in order for it to be awakened.
Uh-huh.
Like that's not what happens. The spirit is on a journey here
Uh-huh.
now.
Uh-huh.
It's not later. And when we're not conscious, the spirit now goes along with for a ride for me, like the ride I'm taking the spirit on, as opposed to me being on the journey with spirit
Okay.
and taking a ride with spirit. There's a higher self, a plan already in place. If I just stay aware that I'm going somewhere, but I don't
Okay.
always know where I'm going.
Okay, so wait a minute now. What's confusing me though is that you're kind of talking about spirit as a separate self. It's
Spirit as the being, like, because this is the body,
uh-huh.
and I'm programmed to think that I'm running this.
Yeah, that the body is you.
Yes,
Yes. Yes.
yes.
Uh-huh.
And so then I go on this, but and now in an awareness that no, I'm spirit first.
Uh-huh.
And so my spirit with that consciousness, now I navigate through life understanding, oh, I'm supposed to be here. Oh, I'm supposed to be it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
look, I'm always in this. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That's why I'm always like, that's so good, because I'm always so amazed of how I end up in a space. Because I've done things, I've met connections and then moved away from connections, and then spirit is like, yeah, no, we got an agreement, so you're going to trot your little self back on over here
Uh-huh.
and do what you were assigned to do. And just that awareness that I am spirit first, foremost, always, you eliminate some of the struggle.
Right, right, right. So, one of the wonderful things about this is that I am fond of repeating an awareness that she presented in this book that says that our biography becomes our biology.
Mm.
And
Mm.
so she said, and so this book, Anatomy of the Spirit, is an amazing book that is done by a medical intuitive by the name of Carolyn Myss, Myss. And what she's the way that, oh, let's see, how do I want to engage in this, because we probably will not necessarily go in chronological
No,
order.
that's not even how we roll.
Yeah, but just kind of jump in and out. So
Right.
one of the wonderful things that she shares in her introduction in this book, and I think in the other books that I've read by her, is the power of meeting this woman named Rachel.
Yes, in Alaska.
Yes, Rachel was in Alaska. And she was talking about Rachel as it was ala she was a Native American mixed with Russian. And one of the questions that because I'm fond of talking about this stuff, but one of the things is when after she met Rachel and she went back home, she said that she
She
went back
left home. Yeah.
she went
She
back
left
home.
home.
Wait a minute,
Mm-hmm.
but she went back home, but she said my spirit didn't come with me.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful to know when your body has disconnected from your spirit, or when the two are not in alignment.
Mm.
And so a lot of times we are out of alignment and don't recognize that we are out of alignment and why. Remember that song that we would hear, your body's here with me, but your mind is on the other side of town? Remember
Yeah.
that? You're messing me around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was kind of the same kind of awareness. You get it in the music, and we heard it before, but we don't recognize that when the spirit and the body are disconnected, when your heart is someplace that your body is not, when your mind is someplace that your body is not, that there is a rupture, and
Yeah.
you cannot move forward until you get those things in alignment with one another. And so I think what we are doing here is that we are about the thing of not only talking about it so we are in alignment, but that we also help those that are, those
Yes.
who may be experiencing that same kind of split, can figure out, how do I bring all of my severed selves back together?
Mm-hmm.
That's
No, that's good. It's true. Because I got right at the top of my page, the split. Because
okay.
it's the it's the truth.
Yeah.
It's the truth. One of the things that Carolyn Miss says is that I always put statements that I get from readings or talks. I always put it in the first person, in me.
Mhm.
So when I rewrote it, it says, how much of my biology suffers because of my inability to become conscious.
Mm. How much of your biology suffers? And so do you feel so wait a minute. So coming into this, even before you guys tuned in, Stephanie was just telling me about how tired she was because she ate too much sugar yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that she talks about is paying attention to ourselves and our bodies, what our body is telling us, even before an illness can supplant itself in our system. And how do we become aware of that? By paying attention to our body, our biology. So where do you feel weak? Where do you feel depleted? Where are you feeling drained? Because all kind of stuff can do that, right?
Happening, anxiety and depression. I was just like, yes, because the
Yes.
spirit is signaling, like it's like a honing, like a beep, beep, beep. It's a signal that's saying that, like she describes her ability and as a medical intuitive, that there's areas that are not lit up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's what is signaling to spirit that there's not a whole essence, there's not an alignment
Mm-hmm.
when I'm feeling lethargic, or someone is just prescribing or describing themselves as depressed.
Mm-hmm.
That's signaling. Those are signals that all the lights aren't shining. You're not firing on 100.
Right. So we're gonna back up for a minute,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and let's talk about what we mean by spirit, what we mean by energy, um, and these lights. I think let's. I'm wondering if it's necessary for us to back up and talk about that a little bit, um, because some people might be sitting up there like, yeah, what? Like we speak in a foreign language.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Very good. Mm-hmm.
Um, and so maybe I need to or number these so that, I mean, beyond the date, I don't know, maybe we need to number these so we're going in a sequential order, so in case somebody wants to go back and start over from the beginning, I don't know, they could just look at the dates, or should we just number them? Questions, right?
Yeah, because, well, yeah, if you want to maintain that and reference, if you want to be mindful of the references, So go to, one, if you want to pay attention to that, if you want to keep track of that, I will not be doing that.
Yeah, so you know what, and it's funny though, because even as I said it, I was thinking to myself, and the reason why I don't add a description because it's too much work. I don't know, because we're all over the page. Every
Yes.
we're all over the page, and so yeah, it's kind of crazy. So yeah, I guess we'll just go with the dates, and you guys will figure it out, right?
Yeah, and I think that for me on this journey, not being for me being available to what shows up and comes up is what I'm willing to do. That's why I started this whole thing on this Facebook thing with you. Just, deciding to be available. I now understand through reading this book that my higher self, the part of me that wants so much more for me,
Mm-hmm.
that knows that I have come here with something to do. You call it spirit, you call it life, you call it energy, but it's something that's beyond what people can see on this screen, that has always called me to something higher to do. But now it's like, okay, I'm surrendering. I was surrendered because of a anyway, I don't want to get all to this. But anyway, I feel like we need to be available.
Wait a minute. Was that like a edit yourself? Like, I'm not gonna get all into this. Is that what you said? Be available. I'm gonna be available. I'm gonna surrender, and then it's like I'm not gonna do this.
Because I was like, I don't want to go. Like, I don't know where we're going in this book, but I got this one piece that's highlighted here that says, I would come to see that my very feelings of powerlessness had led me to study power. For the lives of the mystic, Christ, whoever you want to put in there, are lessons in physical, emotional, and spiritual um, bereavement and disempowerment, followed by the rebirth into a new relationship with power. And so I have been on this journey of understanding that the powerlessness in me, what I feel when I feel disempowered, when I feel um, broken, is the next level into my power. But I never seen that as that until we started doing the Lent
Uh-huh.
message and then your message yesterday. Like the disempowerment, the not knowing has led me to knowing. The
Mm-hmm.
feeling hopeless and broken has led me to feel whole and rejuvenated, like again.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that when people come to a place where they come across something like this and they want to know more, it makes you thirsty for the not, like, you don't, we can explain spirit if we can do that, but I guess I'm saying is that when the student is ready.
So
um
and here, so I think that may be a good place to start. So let's for a second here, let's talk about power in the example that was used in the beginning of this book, because a lot of times people are attracted to or addicted to or have a desire for power,
mhm.
and we think that power comes from something that we wield in the world, like we have
Yes,
power over.
yes,
And the moment we get caught in the idea or the thought of having power over,
yes,
then we have disempowered ourselves, because
yes.
it becomes about the relational stuff that we have with other people. So we want to have power over certain things, whether it's people or situations, and that in itself negates the very power that people seek.
Hmm. Hmm.
So when you want to have true power is not something that is about the external world,
Hmm.
but becomes about what it is that we do internally and the way our energy flows.
Hmm.
It is the source from which our energy flows that is the real power. People can all day long walk around and think that their power comes from wielding a dollar or from a position or from education. We get all of these thoughts about power as if it's external to us,
Right.
and really it's an internal thing.
Right. Right. And it's like that laying aside my life or my ideas or my purpose. It's like laying it down, like surrendering to, yeah. Anyway, I just found to be
it it's allowing it to be used for something different.
something different. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's once you shift from from an ego standpoint, the ego is about, you know, all this out here. The ego is about what we do for man's acknowledgement or for other people's.
Self-protection, self-preservation.
Yeah, once we lay down that portion of it, then the real awakening can happen through us. So she related that to John F. Kennedy. No, I'm sorry, she didn't, but the person who did her introduction, who was the medical doctor Norman Seeley, is I think that's who I want to say he's the one that, yeah, talked about John F. Kennedy. We talked about John F. Kennedy Jr., for instance. And this was right in the forward at the bottom of the
Oh yeah, I see that.
yeah. A recent article featured John F. Kennedy Jr., for instance, and emphasized that had he had more than adequate, no, that he had more than adequate money and sexual security, but no power. The article then trivialized power by extending the popular illusion that John F. Kennedy Jr. somehow could buy power by publishing a jet set magazine. If this is our own idea of power, be prepared to be shaken deeply by Anatomy of the Spirit.
Yeah.
As if power is something that is simply wielded from the outside,
Yeah.
and that people looking on then
We'll call it such.
Oh, you're powerful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Power does not come to us in that way. That is not at all. And so when we really start to look deeply at the source of it, this is a divine dispensation that comes when we get our stuff in alignment.
Yes. It is. It is. It is so true.
I love it. So, you know, there are so many juicy things that come up in this teaching for me. There's so many things that come up, and I think that so spirit. What is spirit? What is spirit? How would let me tell you about my story, I guess. When I first realized, no, it wasn't when I first realized. I always knew that I had spirit, that I had a spirit. I always had a notion of a soul. But I'm gonna tell y'all what happened to me one day. It was one of those days when, remember the meditation I was telling you about, where the girl said that how long is the appropriate time to meditate? And she said 5 minutes longer than what you're comfortable. And so I'm sitting in the closet, which is, I got a front closet that I cleaned out, and I sit in that closet in the morning. I haven't sat in there in a while though, because it's cold in the wintertime. So I was sitting in the closet, and I'm sitting there on my thing, and I'm meditating. And when my little thing goes off to tell me ding, like I was done, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to sit here 5 minutes longer. No, I'm going to sit here 7 minutes longer than that little girl on the doggone thing, because I'm going to do this, right? And so I'm sitting there. And as I'm sitting there, I'm like staring at my eyelids. You know what it's like to stare at your eyelids, because
Mm-hmm.
your eyes are closed, and sometimes you can see redness coming through, but the room is
Right.
dark, so my eyelids are dark. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, and all of a sudden, while my eyes are closed, I felt something blink. I was like that. I was like that on an internal level, like the what's that? So what it felt like for me is I'm sitting up there thinking, like, what the hell? How is something blinking?
My eyes are closed.
Right. So this is what I felt like I did. Like my spirit went like this. No lie. No lie. And I caught my breath and I thought, like, whoa, wait a minute. Is there something else that could be seeing the world through my eyes?
Yes.
When Gene Houston says that we are the lensing point, the lensing, Lensing, that means like a lens in your glasses.
Oh my goodness.
When Gene Houston said we are the lensing point of God consciousness here on earth, I was like shaking. Oh my gosh. And then you start thinking to myself, was you there when I did that? Oh, did you see? And I'm just like, oh my gosh. But also in that instance, while I was totally just thinking to myself, I'm host to something way bigger than myself, I felt, oh my gosh, and I'm still here, and I'm still loved, and I must be forgiven, and I mean, it was all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like blown the freak away. Just, oh my gosh. So now all of a sudden I was walking around thinking to myself that this life that I am living is so much bigger than just what I'm perceiving. This spirit that is me, in me, living as me, so much bigger. It was like in an instant, I got so much of what I had been reading, so much of what Jesus had said, so much of all these other people's experiences, I got in an instant. Whoa. Now, I know that some people may never have an experience like that, right? It's my hope that when you do, that you have the sense enough to take your freaking shoes off and recognize that you are having a holy moment.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when we're walking along and we're hearing stuff, we think it's just us talking to ourselves. But
Oh
maybe,
no.
yes, just maybe entertain the fact that spirit is trying to speak to you through the clouds while you're driving.
Yes.
The radio, the songs that you hear through the trees, the plants.
Yes.
Through me, through Stephanie, through everything.
It's so true.
Everything.
I remember my first experience that I shoot it away, of course. I was in 8th grade walking home from Kirk Middle School, walking up Euclid in East Cleveland in the 80s, whenever that was. I don't know, 81 or something. And literally my book.
Middle school in the 80s? Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes, I was. was just like, let me think. Yes, I was. So I was walking home and my book, for real, I don't know if I've ever said this out loud, maybe to my mother. My book like just jumped out of my arms. And I said, "What you do that for, God?" And I stopped, I looked around, I put the book back in my arms, and I walked. And that was, never had another experience like that, but was so aware that that was intentional. For whatever reason, I was aware that it was on purpose by something other than me, because there was nothing in my consciousness that would say my book would fall out my arm. It literally felt like it jumped, like it was like,
Right, right,
what? And then
right.
later on, as an adult, I had this experience, and I have it now. I intentionally go back and forth in this experience, but where I sat and began to see life like I was sitting on a windowsill in my mind, but
Mm-hmm.
not me, like not myself looking out, but that something other than me is looking out of my eyes. That
Mm-hmm.
experience where I am literally trying, and I do that a lot. I'll put myself in that space where I'm looking, I am here, but I'm looking out of here. Like I can't, that's the only way I can explain it. But there is something other than the me that
Uh-huh.
is looking out of these eyes. Like I can sense there's something other than me that has an understanding and an awareness that's looking out, like using my eyes just as like these little windows of a house,
Mm-hmm.
looking out. Um, yeah.
So and so this becomes hard to explain if people have never had an experience where they have had sometimes we hear stuff, like move, get out of the way, turn right. um when you haven't had the experience of hearing or seeing something or being able to acknowledge it, is hard sometimes to understand. But there is this unseen hand, as Joseph Campbell would call it, that is
Mm.
always at work in our lives. And what we say is that this disembodied something um is spirit as it engages with you. Now, I love in Julia Cameron's book, she says there's a quote in there that says that every blade of grass, a blade of grass now, has angels assigned to it that stand over it and simply say, grow,
Mm.
grow.
And
Now,
as is for us,
yes, yes.
the exact same words.
If a blade of grass has angels assigned to it, so too do you and I. As a matter of
Yes.
fact, I got a whole legion that travels with me, right? And one of the things that I think is helpful, if you have never done this, and I know it may sound hokey to you, belief is not necessary. I'm going to tell you out of what it says in the Course in Miracles. Belief is not necessary. You don't have to believe anything I'm saying. All I'm doing is saying, just open the door a little bit and try it, right?
Oh, yes.
Open just a crack. Suspend your disbelief and just try it, right? Sometimes it's helpful just to invite them, right? To say, speak to me, right? To invite them to, how they talk about co-pilot in your car, or
Yes, yes,
you
yes.
know the parking space stuff is easy, but just to invite them into, like, let's see what is here, right? Let's see what's here. And so we bring with us a certain power and a certain dynamic when we become open to it.
Yes. What if there's more? What if there's more?
Right, right, right. And so one of the things that that I try to do is when I talk about the allness and the fullness of God being right where you are, right? Everywhere present in this universe, whether we're talking about right here in my, right where I am, right where Stephanie is, right where you are, right? Right where you are, the fullness of God present there, right? And so when I'm saying that to you, it's because this space, even though it looks empty, is really actually
Right.
full.
Yes,
It's really
it
full.
is.
But he who has an ear will hear. He who has an eye will see. But if you are closed off to that, right, then you won't. So the and part of the wonderful thing is that because I know that the same fullness is right where you are, I I don't I want to say that I hear what's going on where you are. Nah, you know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, but it's not exactly that. What I get is I get a sensation to say this. I get a
Yeah.
sensation to say that. It's something that's laid on my heart, and and what I try to do is I try to give voice to it, even when it doesn't make sense to me. And so if somebody asks a question or thinks a question, then my posse that's traveling with me,
Right.
it they
Yes.
will lay on my heart an impression to say this, that it's going to be okay. Right? Right where you are, that it's going to be okay. That you're totally forgiven, you're totally loved, whatever it is that comes up, it lays that impression on me to say. And my receptivity to it allows me to hear more.
Mm.
So if I shut it off and I say, "Oh, I'm not going to say that because it don't make any sense to say something like booty something," right? Um, if I shut it off and say, "Oh, that don't make any sense," then that means that what it's doing is saying, okay, she may not be, the receptive vessel. I might have to bounce it over to Stephanie,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if Stephanie don't say it, then
And yeah.
bounce it over to the nurse that you're going to come in contact with in a few minutes. And if she don't say anything, it might be the clerk that's going through the checkout line when you come out of the store. And if that person, because God has the ability to go in and out, just like on the Matrix, to go in and out of anything that is plugged into the system. So it may come
Mm-hmm.
over the radio.
Mm-hmm.
It is
Yes.
not limited by Sandra's unwillingness to say something. It is not limited. So ask your question.
Yeah.
Your posse turn around and say, "All right, y'all."
What we doing here?
Right. "All right, y'all, I need y'all to go find me the perfect position. I need you to go find me the perfect position that is meant for me." And then wait. Just have a behold moment.
Your
Right?
ear came loose in the back.
Oh, did it? Thank you.
Gotta keep it together.
Have a behold moment. Y'all know that I do this right after I work out in the morning, right? So it's not even like
Right. I work out before she works out, so I get a chance to
yeah.
pull it together.
I I don't come on here trying to be perfect.
No.
I
Mm-mm.
just come on here doing what I do. So, but thank you for saying that.
You are very welcome.
So,
So I heard someone say to me, because I would oftentimes be a warrior. I do admit, my name is Stephanie and I am a warrior. So I do, I'm a warrior that worries. So, but I used to be like, what if I make a mistake? Because I was a perfectionist. I am a recovering perfectionist. And so I was always concerned about getting it wrong and making a mistake and getting it wrong and making a mistake. And a very dear friend of mine's, uh, there was an ant on a carpet in our living room, and they came over to the carpet by the front door, and there was a black ant there, and they took the carpet and they rolled it up this way, like this, and
mhm.
they said, "You're the ant, and this is God. And when God wants you to go this way, there is circumstances that'll," and as he was moving the carpet, the ant was forced to go in the directions all the way through life. And it was like, yeah, like it is simply just like that. And
Mm,
now the key for me is to be aware
mm,
that I can't get this wrong. I just got to
right.
stay on the rug.
Yeah. Yeah. And even if you fall off the rug, it's
I
okay
know,
to
right? I'll be
let.
back on the rug like Jonah. Spend a couple of days in the belly of the whale. And then it's like, now are you ready? Are you ready to get
Yep,
back on the road?
yep,
Because I
yep.
have an assignment. Your spirit has work to do here.
Right. So I will say to you, so I haven't seen Erica show up in the comments yet. But Gretchen, good morning.
Good
I don't know
morning.
if I said that to Gretchen or not. Um, I know Erica's daughter was coming into town this
Okay.
morning, and I have a talk that I'm gonna do with Erica after we finish this. So I don't want to finish up too
Okay.
late. It's our aim to be here every morning between 7:15 and 8 o'clock. And sometimes we go a little over and sometimes we start a little late, but that's kind of like the general time frame. But I want to share something out of this book before we let go. Is there anything out of the first section of this book um, that you wanted to share? Because I got a little paragraph that I want to read. Is there anything while I'm reading this, you see if there's anything out of the first portion of this book,
Just the,
meaning like the
yeah, the,
and the preface.
the preface and the forward. Look, I'm about to put on another pair of glasses. Like I really want to see.
I'm gonna read this while you're
Yeah,
looking.
go ahead.
Um, So this is out of the voice of Carolyn Miss, and I just thought that this was interesting to share. So I'm going to read this. By working with my intuition, I've identified the emotional and psychological causes of illness. I unquestionably a strong link exists between physical and emotional stress and specific illnesses. This connection has been well documented, for instance, with regard to heart disease and hypertension
Mm,
and so-called type A personality. My particular insights, however, have shown me that emotional and spiritual stresses or dis-ease are the root causes of all physical illnesses. Moreover, certain emotional and spiritual crises correspond quite specifically to problems in certain parts of the body. For instance, people who come to me with heart disease have have led have had the life experiences that led them to block out intimacy or love from their lives. Let me read that again.
mm-hmm.
Because what I'm doing is it seems like I keep skipping lines for some reason. Moreover, certain emotional and spiritual crises correspond quite specifically to problems in certain parts of the body. For instance, people who come to me with heart disease have had life experiences that led them to block out intimacy or love from their lives. In other words, heart disease is caused by people who block out love or intimacy out of their lives. Can I say that again?
Mm-hmm.
Heart disease is caused by our resistance to intimacy and love. So you're holding out, you're acting as if you are so strong and not allowing yourself to connect is really like creating problems in your heart.
And it's associated with high blood pressure too, which is a heart area as well.
Okay,
Just saying.
people with low back, and we're going to get into all of this as we go through
Yes.
the book.
Yes.
But I wanted to, for those of you who are sitting there looking and saying, this is just like something that so and so would be going through. So most of the time what we do is we don't own our own stuff,
Yeah.
right? we make it about other people, and we can see it so clearly when it's so-and-so's issue, but we can't see it when it's our own. So if you hear yourself in this, or if you hear somebody else in this, share this video, or, I don't know if you can take a clip of it, but share this and say, hey, this might be something that we should all delve into so that we can address the issues in our lives, right? Okay, so let me read this other part. People with low back pain have had persistent financial worries. People with cancer often have unresolved connections with the past, unfinished business, and emotional issues. Right? Did you get that? You can play this back after we're done. People with blood disorders frequently have deep-seated conflicts with their family of origin. Okay. The more I studied the human energy system, the more I realized that very little is created randomly in our bodies, or for that matter, in our lives. The links between our emotional and spiritual stresses and specific illnesses are best understood in the context of the anatomy of the human energy system, the anatomy of our own spirits. All right.
So I'll just repeat what I said coming on here. What stuck out for me is how much of my biology suffers because of my inability to become conscious.
Yes. Yes. And that is for all of us.
Yes.
And so we are taking this profound trip and deep dive into the anatomy
journey.
Yes, of our spirit, right? We are going there, and hopefully through this endeavor, all of us can work out some of the issues of our lives. It's one thing to say, okay, financial issues cause back pain, right? Lower back pain. But if we aren't doing anything to address and here, don't make it seem like what you need to do is go out and get another job. That's not what this book is going to call for you to do. The book is going to call for you to examine your relationship with money. Right?
For real relationship, like down on the inside, programming relationship, like for real, like what do you really believe about money?
Right.
That it's for them and not for me.
Right. And even with that, it's how we see, like, so say for instance, for a man might see, or men do see their relationship with money having to do with their potency in the world.
Yeah.
So not only may you have issues in your back, you may have issues with your Peter.
Just saying.
Yes. And so in order to do that, we have to really examine.
It's so true.
The connection between those two, and whether or not they are firing. So, but the same is true with women, right? Okay. I mean, we got our own stuff. And so it'll be us talking about this through studying this anatomy of spirit and beyond. I mean, there are some, we could have dove into some other works, but this is
right. This is where we are.
And so we'll get into that and talk about that. Hey, Kelly, welcome. We'll get into that and we'll talk about that as time goes on. I'm so glad we're doing this.
I am too. And I'll read my piece tomorrow because I don't want to overstay our time, but I'll read it tomorrow. But that's the main thing, is that our biology suffers when we don't have the ability to become conscious or aware of something bigger than ourselves. And this is so good for me for what I do as a clinician. because I believe this, but I thought I believed it because of my Christian background and but I believe it now because it's just what it is. It's not even about religion. It's about literally there is a spirit show and there and that mental health. I used to be the person in class like, well, I don't care what nobody say. Mental health have everything to do with spirits. This is all spiritual. I wrote papers like, all my papers would always bring it back to spirituality and the belief system and family of origin. I believe that with everything that's in my heart. And this book has just affirmed, other books have affirmed it too, but the chakras and all of it has just affirmed so much about the work the awareness, because it's not even work, because in my humble opinion, the more aware we become, the less it feels like work and efforting. It's just awareness.
Right. And so, one of the things that I learned from this book that was just, I don't even know how to tell you how pivotal it was, but how important it is to have the courage.
That's good.
To do what's necessary.
That's the serenity prayer, Sandra.
Yes, it's the serenity prayer. But sometimes it's, like I guess one of the things that I recognize is sometimes having the courage to take whatever steps, having the courage to say to yourself, get on with it, get your butt up, right? I would tell y'all, and if you guys, and do me a favor, if you are going to take this journey with us, I'm a simple request. If you have not watched The Matrix, please watch The Matrix. Because I love to make Matrix references. And so if you haven't seen it, you might not get my references, but The Matrix is an amazing movie. Because even when I just said that, I saw Trinity as she drove through that window. She rolled down the steps, she pulled out her guns, and she sat there and kept saying, "Get up, Trinity, get up." And a lot of times that's what we have to do ourselves. We got to tell ourselves to get up. Let's get up and get on with this. Pity party over.
Yeah.
Set
the timer and then let it go.
Yes. Yes. Get on with it. And that's what we got to do. So thank you for being here.
Super appreciate it. I'm excited. Please, get the book, get the tape, get something, whatever. The book is so good because you can just make your little index cards, and I'll never forget this. The biology, my suffering, my physical suffering, because I'm not clear, I'm not connected, I'm disconnected, I'm estranged. That's what you had said about 4 weeks ago. I am estranged from myself.
Right. And that is powerful right there. Right. Just finding out that our spirit, whatever is over there, because
they're on the other side of town.
It can't deal with us no more. It's like I'm gonna tell. Oh, girl,
I know.
We are. It's 8:15. It's time for us to go.
Right.
And we got. We're going to do this book, and then we'll see where we go after that. But I thank you and I welcome you on this journey.
Yes.
Stephanie,
all right. Have a great day.
You too.
Have a happy Monday. All right. Bye-bye.
All right. See ya.
See you later.